Today I'm going to talk about downsizing for retirement. Now, anybody who's watched any of our previous videos will know that that's 100% something that we are planning to do. And lots of people plan to downsize for retirement for various reasons. But is it always a good thing? And is it as simple a solution as it seems? So today I'm going to discuss the pros and cons of downsizing in retirement. You might think that really there's only pros, but there are a few cons as well. So one of the first pros that is definitely going to be a pro for us is it can be seen as a fresh start into retirement, particularly if as part of your downsizing you actually relocate as well. So that's what we're planning to do. We're planning to have a bit of a relocation. We're planning to downsize from a 3-bedroom detached to a 2-bedroomed, either a flat, a townhouse, a terraced house, a little semi. We haven't exactly sorted that out yet, the fine details, but that's definitely something that we're going to do. We're going to use downsizing as part of our relocation as well. And a lot of the pros for downsizing talk about a new fresh start, a declutter, a out with the old working life and in with the new retirement life, breathing some fresh air into your retirement. So yeah, that's the first pro that we think will probably be quite relevant to us actually, hopefully. So that's good. The second pro is that it can release funds. Now, obviously, releasing a certain amount of funds can be really important in your retirement. Our particular plan is to release approximately £100,000, so approximately 100k, and that will form our bucket strategy. So that 100k will be our bucket one, our 2 years plus 2 to 3 years of spending in our first years of retirement. So that's our plan, that when Bruce finally retires, because I'll already be retired, that we downsize and release £100,000 to form our first few years worth of spending. Now obviously, if people are thinking about retiring, financials are huge, and if you can release a real substantial amount of money to help you for a good few years in retirement, then that's got to be a pro. And pro number 3 is not only are you releasing equity at the point of selling your home when you downsize, but you're going to have more free money because your downsizing property is going to take a lot less to upkeep. So for example, little things like your poll tax will probably be less, your council tax will be less. Your poll tax, gosh, I'm a child of the 80s. Your council tax will be less. Your utilities, your water rates, your gas, your electric, the general upkeep of things like your roof, your carpeting, your just all of the things. If you're in a smaller place, then the chances that it's going to cost you less to upkeep are huge. So not only are you going to free up initial money, but you're also going to hopefully have more money. So that's another plus. The fourth positive from downsizing is not only will it be easy to manage financially, it'll be easy to manage practically. So rather than having a huge garden that you've got to upkeep, you might have a little one. Rather than having a big house that you've got to keep tidy, keep clean, keep clutter-free, whatever, you might just have a little one. So rather than 3 bedrooms to clean, you might just have 2. So literally, practically, a smaller property is definitely going to be easier to look after as you get older. Please remember, if you're enjoying this video, or even if you're not, please help by liking and subscribing. Like and subscribe. I need to say. So obviously that's a really good one as well, because the older you get, the less fit you're going to be, the less energy you're going to have. That's just time. So the less time you have to spend upkeeping your home is going to be a lot better for you. And the final point for why it's a really good idea to downsize your home is the fact that you have less of your hard-earned savings sitting in a property. So if you're travelling for a substantial amount of the year, rather than having a £500,000 house sitting empty, you might only have a £200,000 house sitting empty. Rather than having all of that money sitting in your property, you'll be hopefully spending that money on things that are more important to you in your later years. So that's the 5 pros of downsizing. So talk about finding hidden gems. I have been coming to Sherwood for decades, and I've just found this little nature reserve in the middle of a Nottingham suburb. It's called Woodthorpe Nature Reserve, and it's part of the Woodland Trust. It's absolutely lovely. We planted the bluebells. It's very small. It's called Woodthorpe Meadows. So what are the cons? Well, one of the cons is the emotional attachment that you may have to your family home. For example, my parents, when my dad died, my mum left a home of 50 years. All her 3 children were born in that home. There was some real family memories attached to that home. And that could be a real emotional pull for you. That could be sort of a real emotional wrench for you. And the thing is the emotional pain, the problem, going to actually outweigh the financial gain that you would get from downsizing? As it turned out for my mum that there's no way she needed a 3-bedroomed home with a garden as long as a manor house and a hedge and fence to go with it. Just the practicals of keeping the roof and the garden upkeep was way too much for my mum. But people may find that actually taking themselves away from the family home could be huge. So that's something that people really need to not underestimate, I think. And another con could be that quite often people overestimate what their house is worth and underestimate what they might have to spend on a smaller one, and they actually totally ignore all of the costs that are associated with moving house, with downsizing. So they might have big dreams of what they want to spend all of their free income on, but then in the long term they might not have as much, they might not have released as much equity, anywhere near as much equity as they originally thought they were going to. So that could be a problem too. And the final one is actually, it's linked to what I just said, but it's all of the costs associated with moving house. So with your downsizing, you've got to take into things like stamp duty. You've got to take into things like, if you don't sell one and buy another one as quickly as you think, I think you have 9 months before you have to start paying capital gains tax, and all the associated issues with actually selling a property and moving home, at a later age. So as much as downsizing might seem like a really good solution, it may not be for everyone, but it's definitely going to be for us. Just a final point, that we have actually decided that in our very first year of retirement, when we downsize, we may rent first. We may decide to rent in Beverley rather than purchase straight away, because basically that'll give us time to think about exactly where we want to be in terms of location, and it'll give us time to think about exactly what type of property we want to be in. Do we want to be in an old terraced house? Do we want to be in a more modern townhouse? Do we want to be in a flat? Now, we won't know that, so buying straight away might not be the best solution for us. So we're probably going to rent in our first year of downsizing. We're still going to downsize, as in we'll be in a much, much smaller property, but we might not own that property for our first year. So there's just some things to think about what people think is a really simple solution to downsizing, but actually it's not necessarily as simple a solution to raising more funds and moving into something smaller in your retirement. So thank you for taking that walk with me around Woodthorpe Meadow. Just going to have a put the National Wildlife Trust.